Some dare call it conspiracy.
Welcome to the Some Dare Call It Conspiracy podcast, hosted by Brent Lee and Neil Sanders. After nearly 20 years exploring the world of conspiracy culture, we are taking our guests and listeners on a guided tour of the rabbit hole. Our mission? To discover where the truth lies. Hello, initiates. In today's episode, we are joined by a comedian, actor, and singer known for her sharp-witted political satire and social commentary, the fabulous Sooz Kempner. Together, we'll explore a variety of topics, from Just Stop Oil's recent antics at Stonehenge to the UK's 2024 general election, and of course, many conspiracy theories and the influencers who spread them. We'll also hear Sooz share her experiences in theatre, including her roles in the stage production of With Nail and I, and as Squeaky Frome in the musical Assassins. Plus, we'll learn about her surprising inspiration to pursue stand-up. We cover so much ground in this episode, I can't even begin to list it all. In fact, I'm just wasting important time here. I'll just let the episode speak for itself. This is Some Dare Call It Conspiracy meets Sooz Kempner.
Hello!
Oh, hello.
Does that all sound human?
That's all perfect.
Yeah, it sounds great.
Oh, good. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for being on. We just wanted to make sure you're not on holiday, are you?
Yeah.
Oh, God, for Christ's sake. Are you sure you're all right doing this?
Oh, it's fine. Yeah, no, it was my decision.
Oh, fine. Fair enough.
And it's only visiting my boyfriend, and a couple of hours of him a day is enough.
Fair enough then.
Yeah, I hope that I'm knowledgeable enough for this.
Well, there is a quiz at the end, so... No, we're delighted to have you on. This is one of the sort of the plus sides of having a podcast is we get to talk to people that we like and that we admire and that we're fans of, and we're huge fans of yourself.
Oh, thank you.
Not only your comedy is fantastic, and all your skits and stuff on YouTube are fabulous.
Thank you.
Your takes on politics we find marvellous.
Thanks.
Your views on J.K. Rowling. We love your podcast.
Mystery on the Rocks.
Mystery on the Rocks is fantastic.
Thank you. We haven't been able to record it for about a year because of various schedules, but we do want to again. We've had there's a conspiracy theory about us that we all fell out.
Oh,
so a couple
right,
of the fans
okay.
said a couple of the regular listeners put on Twitter, but we never checked the podcast Twitter, so we didn't realise that there were people like, "Do you think they're just not talking anymore?" or something. It's like, no. The WhatsApp is still full of us bitching about comics we hate. So
Yeah, well, that's the perfect breeding ground, though, for conspiracy theories, is when all of a sudden people just disappear and there's a gap in knowledge.
Absolutely.
And you have to try and fill that gap.
That's right.
Brent is a conspiracy theory, aren't you, Brent?
I am.
Oh,
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Ever since leaving the rabbit hole and coming out and speaking out about it, I am now part of the conspiracy theory. I've been bought off.
You're a psyop.
Yeah, totally. It's great, though, because it really reconfirms the conspiracy isn't actually real. Because if you can just lub me into it so quickly, it's just okay, I see.
Yeah. As soon as you're not fitting their agenda, you're straight in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There is a bizarre party line within the free thinkers, which some might say is contradictory, but I don't think they're willing to be that self-reflective, to be quite honest. But,
Yeah, agree.
but looking up and down the sort of all the topics of your podcast is marvelous. It's all assassinations and serial killers and ghosts and mysteries, all set to the backdrop of people drinking.
Yeah, we're always hammered.
Yeah, it's brilliant, but it's interesting and it's witty, and it's basically how I fondly imagine myself behaving in the pub, but it's probably not.
I hope not. I hear it back and just go, "Oh, you awful woman."
Oh, that's the thing, is that nobody likes hearing their own voice. Although, again, which we will hopefully come on to again, you have got a fabulous voice.
Oh, thank you.
Seriously, wow. Really, really, really incredibly talented.
Oh, thanks. Well, it makes up for my horrible speaking voice. I do gig semi-regularly at the Royal Vauxhall Tavern, which is a gay bar in South London, and you always come out singing a song, and they're all there going like, "Oh, great," and then immediately go, "Thank you," in my horrible speaking. Thanks so much.
Oh, fantastic! But I wanted to talk about all these things. But then I found out that you're a massive With Nail and I fan.
Yes.
And so, unfortunately, we're going to have to do whatever happens when two With Nail and I fans get together. Brent, you're just going to have to sit there for a bit, and we're just going to quote the film back and forth to each other for like an hour.
That's right. I've been able to live that recently. Yeah.
I don't think there are casual With Nail and I fans. Like, you either love it or you don't get it at all. Like,
Yes.
I have a friend that doesn't get it at all. He's like, it's just two people talking. And it's like, oh, for God's sake.
Oh, it's so miserable, isn't it? You get that. Oh, God, it's like, yeah.
Exactly. That's what it's like.
That's exactly why Neil likes it, yeah.
Have you seen it, Brent?
I've seen it once, but
Okay.
I don't even really remember
Oh,
it, to be honest.
dear. No. Are you aware there's a stage play of it?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Well, I was just in it.
Oh, you're joking.
No, I was in the play, yeah.
Oh, you sit. Wow. Oh, what do you do in the? Oh my God.
Yeah. I assumed you knew.
Oh, no. I'm desperately impressed.
I played. So they had a live on stage band, and I was the lead singer, and I played all the women.
Oh, amazing.
So popping in as Miss Blennerhassett, and
astonishing.
then I got to be the police officer who is mute, and then finally goes, "Get in the back of the van!" And every night it got a round of applause. I was like, "This is the easiest job I've ever had."
Oh, that's wicked. Oh, that's brilliant.
Sort of about 5 lines, sing some of the greatest songs ever written, and then go down the pub with 8 brilliant actors.
Oh, amazing. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
It was great.
I got a question for you, Neil, though. Like, so what's more impressive, that or Squeaky?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
because,
yeah,
you were Squeaky from 8. Yeah. And, well, that was another thing as well, actually, when I was listening to your podcast. And at one point, you mentioned Sam Bick. I was like, someone else in the world knows who Sam Bick is. This is astonishing.
And only because I've been in Assassins time years ago. I've done it twice. Played Squeaky from it once, and Sam Bick is a character in Assassins, and he has either 2 or 3 great long monologues. He doesn't have any songs, but he just will appear in a Santa suit and do these long monologues, which are verbatim from the tapes that he was sending Leonard Bernstein.
And
he would just ramble and on and on. Leonard Bernstein would play these tapes at parties. He'd be like, "You got to hear this crazy guy." And then this guy nearly did a 9/11.
Yeah. He tried to hijack a plane, Brent, and he was going to fly it at Richard Nixon. Assassination by flying a plane into the side of Richard Nixon in the hope that maybe he would collapse. But
some might say overkill.
Yeah, mate. Well, I don't know. It's Nixon. So, to be fair,
that guy.
But yeah, there's an astonishingly good film about it with Sean Penn in that barely anybody knows about.
Oh no, I don't know that. Yeah.
Oh, it's called The Assassination of Richard Nixon, and
right.
it's the story of him. It's got Don Cheadle in as well, but it's
okay.
It's very, very good. Very, very dark, but yeah, next to nobody knows about it, basically. So.
I didn't know that. Well, yeah, and no one knows about Sam Bick, which is crazy because if they'd brought in the laws within the airport that exist now because of 9/11, we wouldn't have had 9/11.
No,
I'm sure they'd have found another way, but to do a 9/11.
But so let's just jump in because obviously that's kind of what this podcast is about.
Right.
We do deep dives into conspiracies and the like and stuff like that. So and I've heard your sort of your podcast and your relationship with conspiracies. Just so you know. We're 2 ex-conspiracists that used to be very, very deeply involved with the industry, and
I read the article. Yeah,
that's brilliant. Yeah.
Mm.
And so we've sort of left that, and so we're kind of persona non grata in that thing now. But but your attitude to conspiracies, you seem to have a sort of knowledge of them and sort of be interested in them, but interested in them almost as a sort of like. like an academic sort of project or something? Like, what are the nuts and bolts behind this? Who?
Well, yeah, I got really into. I don't know why it was in 2011, so 10 years after 9/11. I think I heard or saw someone on like baby Twitter talking about Building 7.
Yeah,
they were talking about Building 7 and kept saying this is the smoking gun.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's a smoking gun? Look that up. I was like, oh, all right. Then I was reading about Building 7 and going like, this sounds like bollocks. What this person said. So I did a huge deep dive into all the 9/11 conspiracy theories and how easy they are to be debunked. And I've sort of been fascinated with that ever since. I just think I look at 9/11 and there is a conspiracy, and it's that on the day it happened, Cheney went, "Well, this is a good opportunity."
Oh, yeah, totally.
It's not like there's nothing that points to the fact that of course there's enough shit in this world that some guys basically in a cult went, we're gonna fly planes into some buildings and it's going to fuck America up.
Totally.
They were correct.
Do you know who was responsible for the 1993 World Trade Center bombing? Most people don't, actually. I
mean, it was Al Qaeda again, wasn't it? But yeah.
Well, yeah, it was Osama bin Laden.
Right.
which is the thing, like, because there's a big deal with two things. Like, one, within the conspiracy world, everybody thinks that it was actually done by the FBI because there's this bloke called Salam, who basically said the FBI did it, but he also blamed a huge amount of other people, and because he was involved with it, and so he was trying to pass the buck. But that became like sort of like, you know, sacrosanct within the conspiracy world. Then what happened was Alex Jones. Are you aware of Alex Jones? Sandy Hook guy.
Yeah. He's one of the ones that is right.
Absolutely. Like he came out about a month before September the 11th and said, there's going to be an attack and they're going to blame it on Osama bin Laden, but don't believe that. It's the New World Order.
Gotcha.
Right. However, it's not as clever as everybody thinks because there's several things, right? One, he nicked it off this bloke called Bill Cooper. And Bill Cooper nicked it off CNN. Right. Because what had happened was CNN had heard over the chatter or however they do news that this bloke who had previously attacked the World Trade Center in 1993, was going to attack America again. And so that's it. That was it. And
it was on the news.
Yeah, it was on the news. Now, what's interesting is several things. One, like, Alex Jones said that they would attack Oklahoma because obviously the Oklahoma City bombing. And so and he was connected to all these militias and stuff like that. So that was his thing. Hit that on Waco, basically. Mm-hmm. But on the day of 9/11, when it was actually happening, on Alex Jones's show, he blames the EU. He says this is obviously the EU in order to force America to take up the euro. How that would work, I'm not entirely sure.
That's amazing. Yeah. I've never heard that before. So they couldn't even convince Blair to take on the euro.
No, quite.
They're not going to make America give up the dollar. Like, that's crazy. And why are we trying to find logic in what Alex Jones says? He's just trying to sell soy pills.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But it's even worse than that because actually on the day, Alex Jones unintentionally debunks the whole Building 7 thing as well because on the day when he's reporting it, he keeps reporting that the Solomon Brothers building is on fire and is raging out of control and blah, blah, blah. And he does that from like 9 a.m, just after the sort of impacts, right up until it collapses, basically. So Alex Jones is actually the evidence that there wasn't really a conspiracy behind there, that it basically was just...
That's amazing.
Yeah, isn't it? Like,
they always point to, there's I believe it's the site manager of the World Trade.
Oh, Larry Silverstein.
Yeah, and he said, oh, I got reports that, they said it's creaking, it's listing, that we're not going to put the fire out. And he didn't say pull it, someone else said pull it, and he just reports that's what they said. And people are like, pull the trigger that makes the explosives go off. Of course, that's what that means. Which isn't a term that's used anyway.
No,
Larry Silverstein, of course.
But this is the thing. Like, that becomes, again, this is the strange thing about conspiracies. That was in Loose Change and in all the other films and stuff like that.
Yeah,
quite. And that becomes one of these things where this is how we find that conspiracy theories flourish, because nobody bothers to go back and check, because they become like tropes or truisms or whatever.
Sure.
Like Brent, I didn't know this one. Brent was talking about the Pentagon and how, whether it was a missile or a plane. And Brent pointed out something that I didn't know. Was it like 200 people were treated for burns from jet fuel?
Yeah, I pointed this out on George Galloway's show.
Yeah. He fell out with George Galloway about this.
That seems impossible to do.
Well, he invited me on, and he started talking about tropes about the Pentagon, saying it was a missile. What did he say? A goat herder? How is a goat herder able to like fly this plane into the building? I said, well, he was trying to land.
Yeah,
and he had a commercial airliner's license.
Yeah,
right.
He wasn't a nobody. And also, can you explain the jet fuel injuries? Can you explain the fact that there are 2 black boxes actually found in the wreckage? How about all the DNA for every single passenger?
Right.
Can you explain any of that? And he was like, well, I think we've had enough tonight. Goodbye.
Yeah, he ran away from Brent.
But they always talk about with the Pentagon, the plane that went into the Pentagon, they always say there's no footage of it. Yeah. And there is. It's from the security camera.
Yeah. There's like 5 frames or something.
Yeah, and it looks like shit, but you can clearly see the shape of a plane, and you can clearly see smoke coming off it, which they've made like 3D models which reenact the path it must have taken, because they know which, lampposts were destroyed by the wings, and then one of the wings bursts open. That's all in these 5 frames.
Yeah.
So A, there is video of it, there is footage of it, and B, just because there isn't footage of something doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Oh, no, exactly.
Yeah, quite.
They do this all the time, don't they?
Oh yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's a vacuum in any way, people will fill it.
Yeah.
You were saying again, like on your podcast, you were wondering what sort of drives people towards it, and you were saying sort of, I think one of you saying in imagination and stuff like that. There's a degree of that, certainly, but Brendan, what you were saying is like it's more sort of people that are inclined to be creative. They can sort of see the potential. Well, this could be what happened, and this could be what happened. So they sort of come up with the connective tissue in their own head, and that makes the stories plausible, basically. So it's a strange one, really.
Yeah, I think if you're really creative and you're intelligent, you're creative, you can imagine it, and if you're intelligent, you can convince yourself that it's true.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you find that when you were deep in it, was there? Because I imagine there must be a lot of sort of validation from thinking, I know something that hardly anyone knows. It's like this extra knowledge that not other people don't have it. And then eventually they'll find out about it and they'll go, you were right all along.
Yeah, absolutely. It is that, but it's slightly darker than that. Like, if you want to be brutally honest, there was times when I was in it, when I was thinking, just you fucking wait. You'll all find out. Like, which is probably, it clearly says more about me than it says about them.
To be honest, no. For myself, like I'd never felt like that. I never felt like a sense of superiority over anyone. Mm-hmm. I felt the only people I felt I had outsmarted was the elite.
Gotcha.
It's
okay.
Like, you haven't pulled, it over my eyes. So now I'm going to tell everyone else. And I was like screaming it from the rooftops, trying to get people to like wake up, like seriously, like
doing the wake up sheeple.
Yeah. Well, that was another thing. Like I always hated the term sheeple.
Right.
Because like before I woke up, I was a sheeple too then. Like,
gotcha.
And I always felt like those sorts of people were being elitists and we were against the elite, to be fair.
I see, yeah.
That's how I always felt about it. But I mean, everyone gets into things for different reasons. And some people, it does feel like it fills their egos, fills their superiority complex. And other times for people, it like fulfills their need for community.
Right.
There's lots of different reasons, I think, why people fall down. And that's why I don't think anybody is really immune to it.
No. I would say exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's difficult, but you'll see someone say, usually on Twitter, the website formerly known as Twitter, say something like, well, I know how the Manchester bombings happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, and it'll be some bullshit theory. But then you have people immediately in the replies going, you fucking thick cunt, you make me sick. Like, how is that going to snap them out?
Yeah.
Like, how's that convincing anyone? It really winds me up. Oh, you see it. This is it with people like it's Deborah Meaden. I saw it recently with Deborah Meaden, one of the dragons from Dragon's Den.
Yeah.
You know, she's not the worst person who ever lived or anything like that. And I think ultimately she's a boomer using a website. And she was like, well, I want to understand this whole trans thing, but there's a lot of women who seem very worried, and I feel like we're being mean to a lot of them, and I see a lot of abuse flying around. And that's someone who just doesn't get it. In the replies, you've got people who do know more about trans rights than she does, all saying, fuck you, you stupid bitch. And you're like, how's that educating anyone at all? That's not helping. I understand where the reflex comes from, totally. But that's not going to change her mind in the right direction.
No, I mean, it's tricky, Twitter, because the problem is that 9 out of 10 people who are on Twitter are just there to ruin other people's day.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? This is what we always say. It's like you get up, you go, who do I really disagree with? Lawrence Fox. Let's see what he's got to say.
Yeah. Yeah. I have him blocked, and yet I can't escape him because people constantly are going, ha, look at this. And obviously I like to see mad shit. I like to see it because he's usually, I think like Graham Linehan, I think he's got a humiliation kink at this point. There's no other explanation for it. But also, we could ignore these people out of existence.
Have you met Glinner in real life, Graham Linehan?
Never, no.
Have you ever seen him in real life?
No, I know he's a giant man.
Well, because I want to know whether the photographs are accurate, because his head looks like forced perspective. Like,
that wild picture where like something's gone on. Why is this man's head like? He looks like something from Theme Hospital.
Yes, he does, doesn't he? He looks like somebody peering in through the keyhole of a hotel at you. Like, bizarre,
very odd. But yeah, apparently he is 6'5". I do know people who knew him.
Oh shit! Don't tell him I sadd that then.
Hang on, I'm in tweet him.
Don't worry, man. I got you. I'm 6'6". Fuck him.
Oh, well, that's all right. Tell him Brent said it.
Perfect. Yeah, I know people who were friends with him in the before times.
Yeah.
And they said they would literally be before he went really off the deep end, but we're talking now like 2017, 2018. They'd be round his house for dinner and they'd all be chatting while he's just there on his phone, getting angrier and angrier.
Well, yeah.
And this is 6 years ago.
But this is the thing. It's the social media. It's the sort of like we've spoken about this in the past. You get like a dopamine response from your brain for making yourself angry. This is why Fox News and the Daily Mail and stuff like that are so popular, because people go, you get a buzz from it and you get addicted to that, and you know, the interaction of this the sort of like, you know, in Twitter world within his little echo chamber, like Glinner's a legend.
Yeah.
And so it encourages you subconsciously to want to spend far much time here, essentially gambling with like social data and whatnot to get that buzz. And sod the real world. The real world becomes very stale and boring and complicated and stuff like that. It's just it's so easy for people to slip down these things into these sort of things.
He's fascinating, Graham Linehan, because he's clearly
he's clearly a very brilliant and clever man. And like,
this is the thing. People go, "Oh, this failed comedy writer."
No.
And it was like, this guy had 5 BAFTAs. Like, he used to be able to get TV series commissioned just by having his name on them. Motherland was written by his ex-wife and others, but like that was sort of her baby. His name is on the first series. And I would, my conspiracy theory is that he didn't write a word of it. But I can just imagine he had his name on it, which meant it got commissioned. And now this guy, they're like a musical based on Father Ted, which would do extremely well. They're like, we will give you hundreds of thousands of pounds to get the fuck away from this. And he won't accept it. He's like, no, I won't. I won't. And he's like, begging J.K. Rowling, notice me, J.K., please. Like, J.K. Rowling is she's as far down the rabbit hole as he is.
Oh, very much so, yeah.
She's like such a mean girl. She's like, no, he's not with us. You can't sit with us.
Yeah, yes.
Like, she'll never acknowledge his existence.
Well, you know,
it's so sad.
He's gonna have to go downhill then.
Yeah, how much further can he go?
Well, he could appear on Russell Brand's podcast. Or
oh my God. Yeah, now, Russell Brand is a fascinating one because, rightly or wrongly, like I started doing stand-up because of Russell Brand. I thought
Really?
Russell Brand was brilliant. When I was, how old would I have been? Like 21. He had a podcast, which was eventually the podcast that when the infamous Jonathan Ross incident was Andrew Sachs incident.
Right.
Yeah, and it ended up getting taken off the air. But that podcast was so funny, and he was so quick on it. I went to see him live. It was one of the best stand-up shows I've ever seen, and then I got into stand-up, and I didn't ever see him live again. Actually, after that, it was like when he was at his peak. That's when I liked him the most, and then it wasn't that I even went off him. It just sort of faded out of my field of vision, obviously. And then by the time he was outed, we'd all heard the rumours, but I'd never heard any specific incidents. I assumed he treated some women quite badly, but I never heard any specifics about rape. And then when the story broke and I'm reading this, I was like, I couldn't believe how bad it is. And I've since heard worse things that weren't in this report that obviously women didn't want to come out about. Like this guy is a nightmare. Yeah. And when people go, oh God, what a shocker. Didn't everybody realise from his stand-up? I'm like, no, because loads of his stand-up was about him being on set and being caught playing this stupid football game where he tried to kick a football over a branch by Woody Harrelson, and then Woody Harrelson joined in with him. And it was a 20-minute bit. It's one of the funniest bits of stand-up I'd ever seen on stage. So his stand-up wasn't all like, yeah, I love it when I'm abusing a woman.
Yeah.
It all blows my mind because there was a long while where he was really famous, where he basically had the same politics as us, probably. Like
very left wing, wasn't
he? Yeah,
that's when he did the Trues, was it?
Yeah. Which I was on like a pilot of the Trues.
Oh wow.
Back in 2015, singing. I had to I had to operatically sing about how Sports Direct is. I remember it was Sports Direct is fucking shit. Had to do that on a pilot, which they then didn't make. But the pilot sure happened. But it was just like really good stuff about how Sports Direct is exploiting workers, and he'd done a little stunt where he showed up there. And anyway, it was fairly mainstream left-wing politics that isn't very popular with people like
Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter. Yeah, and he's gone so far the other way, and I couldn't really understand why. And now I understand why, because that lot will accept anything.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? Like, but what gets me about it is, as you say, he started off. He was very akin to almost sort of like Mark Thomas and stuff like that, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Like, almost this close to activism. And then,
yeah.
I mean, there's that thing on Reddit where, and again, I think this was just somebody joking, but somebody put on Reddit, the second that he started embracing right-wing rhetoric, it's like, oh, here we go. We're going to find out in 2 years' time that he's raped some woman. And it's like,
right.
Fucking hell. Like,
I see. Quite a few people, is it? Yeah, I don't believe for a second that Russell Brand likes hanging out with Ben Shapiro.
No.
And Donald Trump Jr. And now I'm like, but that you've made your shitty little bed, mate, and you can lie in it and be miserable because he looks so depressed and good.
No, fuck him, absolutely. Like, but that's what gets me is the whole thing. It's so Jordan Peterson and even Andrew Tate. It's so transparent. It's like they're lying to you for fuck's sake. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and I think people just want to hear it, but like, there's so many people that have just sort of noticed that lane and noticed that you instantly get profitable, and you also get to be horrible to other people, which makes you feel powerful, which is all great and stuff like that. So I mean, you can kind of vaguely understand like people like not condone by any stretch of the imagination, but from a career perspective, understand why people like Russell Brand and even to an extent Glinner embrace certain things now. What the fuck is J.K. Rowling doing?
J.K. Rowling, isn't she just endorsed the Communist Party because they're super transphobic? She's like, I'm going to endorse them.
Wow. Oh my God.
And they'll go, they'll pick up sort of 90 votes nationwide, and she'll go, one of those was me. Like,
oh, well done. Congratulations.
thanks,
like,
Joanne.
Like, dear. Like,
that she's a single issue. She's a single issue because that woman is a like stone cold centrist. She loves nothing to change. She has like communism would be like that's her kryptonite. She absolutely would hate that the most. Yet there she is going like, you're super transphobic. I'm into it.
Ridiculous. Her audience will reject her purely off the back of mentioning communism and stuff like that. Like,
they won't though, will they? They're so fucking loyal to this. I mean, if I wanted advice from her, it would be on how to write really popular sort of beige children's books.
Well, I'll tell you how. You go to the library, you get a copy of The
Worst
Worst Witch. Yes.
make it a bit more serious.
Yeah. If I flip this from a girl to a boy, no. The irony. That's why she hates trans people.
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
We figured it out. She's like, shut up about the worst witch. The worst witch.
The worst witch is me.
I'm the worst witch.
Oh, no. Oh, dear.
There's a brilliant YouTube video. I have no thoughts of my own. Do you know Sean?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Sean Vids.
Sean Vids on Twitter. He did like I think it's like 2.5 hours this video, and he goes into the politics of J.K. Rowling based on her writing, and she's a real small c conservative. Like she believes in the big bad, so we slay the big bad and everything's fine, which you get constantly in politics now. A friend of mine, who left-wing guy, we just need to get Labour in. We've got to get Labour in. And he's gradually going, don't know about Keir Starmer, actually. I don't know. Because I keep saying he's telling us he won't change anything.
No,
and that opens the door to the far right. Like, this isn't an original thought I've had either, but this is like, we keep being told this is what this will bring in. He's already like terribly unpopular.
Yeah.
And he's not even leader yet. That's only going to go down and people will be very disappointed. And he's like, right, who do we need then? He went, someone like Andy Burnham? I'm like, what? At what point do people realise it's not about just having just need the right person? The whole system is fucked. And I sound like, so I know I sounded kind of like Timothy McVeigh when I
No.
when I say stuff like this, but it's rotten. It's like, you don't get Trump if the system's working. The system isn't working. And every 40 years, everything changes. And when COVID happened, I was like, well, maybe this will be where we get our big switch, because look what's happening. Suddenly everyone's like very embracey of big socialist ideals. Like that Rishi Sunak, he didn't want to do furlough. He didn't want to help out self-employed people, but he was forced to, because otherwise, like, there'd have been some kind of coup.
Totally.
And a bunch of people starving to death. When there's all these tests showing that the universal basic income, it works.
Yes.
It just works. There are fewer and fewer arguments against it. The only arguments you see against it now are people going, well, no, that just isn't right.
Well,
and you go...
Do you know who argues very, very heavily against a universal basic income? Because it'll turn everybody into, like, slaves, apparently.
Okay, who's this?
David Icke. David Icke is, because David Icke has said it, that trickles down through the conspiracy world. The conspiracy world sees universal basic income as the first step towards the government controlling everything that you do. And it's like,
15-minute cities imprisoning
all that
us.
shit.
And...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, but it's so ridiculous, isn't it? Like that. But so what you're saying is, we don't think that the socialist utopia is just around the corner.
No, it's not, because it's not allowed to happen. As soon as anyone, like, it's been said, over and over again, but Corbyn's politics somewhere like in a Scandinavian country would be seen as really regular, and yet he comes in and goes, remember a lot of stuff we used to have, we can have that again, and here's how we pay for it. And people
why
are like,
not just sod off to Russia?
He loves Putin, he loves him. Ignore this interview where Tony Blair says we should be a Putin ally.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? Like, it's so ridiculously sort of corporate nowadays that, where on earth we're going from it? Like, Keir Starmer is just like, it's bizarre, isn't it? That like, he's not well liked by anybody.
No.
So why is he going to be the Prime Minister?
There's people who pretend to like him. They see him, like a picture of him with his wife, who's made a rare public appearance at a Taylor Swift concert. And like a prominent centrist will post this picture and go, make this man Prime Minister now. It's like, you've only got to wait another week and a half anyway.
Yeah.
And what are we basing
He will
this
be
on?
by default.
Yes, yeah. The two greatest words in the English language.
Default.
Default. Yeah, he's going to be Prime Minister. That's happening. And there's an awful lot of people who they're going to be like the dog that caught the car when it happens. They're going to go, I had the 4th of July was the greatest night of my life. And now what?
Well, I'm old enough to remember the 90s when it happened before. So, this will be nothing new. This will be like the sequel. Yeah. So, like, if we use the rule of sequels, there'll be more death. It'll be bloodier.
Yeah. Yeah, and when Blair came in, it was in a very good economy.
Yeah.
There was money to be spent, and he privatised an awful lot of stuff that was already on its way. And now we're reaping the benefits of that. Cheers, mate. Like, there's not been anything new, actually, since the late 70s. There's just been this festering. And I'm a bit worried that the big seismic shift that we sort of get every 40 years, because the one before, of course, was some war that I've heard mentioned, that we're all very proud of.
Oh, very, yeah.
I am worried that we slip into fascism. And when people go, ha ha ha, you're so you're just panicking over nothing. All you're doing is saying that for doom and gloom's sake.
No.
Why are they so, if it's not going to happen, why are they so mad at me?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
That was going to be my next question. So what do you think about the rise of fascism? People like Farage.
Oh, I do like it. Don't get me wrong.
Gives you material, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I've got to have a foil. Like, otherwise...
Yeah. No, I wouldn't much rather have a nice, comfortable existence where I just do my material about how Sonic the Hedgehog's got Lib Dem energy at all. What I really want to be doing is constantly worrying about the rise of the far right and making fun of them a bit. People go, we need these comedians, don't we, though? That's the real activism. And I think it was Peter Cook who said, yeah, we all remember how all that good satire in Berlin in the 30s really stopped those
really
Nazis.
Stopped it, yeah, absolutely.
Fucking hell. Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally.
I've done nothing except to make a few people laugh with an inaccurate Nadine Dorries impression.
Oh, no, it's fantastic.
But there are people who are like, this is what we need. This is what we need. And like, it's not doing anything.
No,
you realise it's not doing anything.
I think people fondly remember back to sort of like, George Carlin and Bill Hicks and stuff like that, and imagine that it actually changed anything. And it's like, I was alive when that was happening, right? Okay.
Right.
All that it did was it made a load of students go, fucking hell, have you seen this? This is wicked.
Yeah.
And that was it, really, like, to be honest, which is a shame. But it's like...
Yeah.
The embrace of this sort of soft fascism as well. In fact, this is essentially that's the irony, isn't it? That's the sort of the lifestyle that Russell Brand is promoting as well. And he's tied it into all this sort of like uber
peace and
mensch.
love.
Yeah, but it's he's doing the Hitler Youth. He's doing the what was the one where it's the girls, and they're all doing gymnastics and healthy living and
doing their calisthenics and the wellness.
That's what he's doing. That's his vibe, and it's so blatantly obvious that. But the tragedy is that it sells, and I don't think that he actively believes that shit.
I don't, which is not a compliment.
No.
I think it's almost worse. I'd rather that it turned out he just had a stroke and it made him a far-right conspiracy theorist, paranoid. But no, I think he went, nobody will work with me anymore because I'm such a nightmare.
Burnt that bridge, who will accept me? Like, okay, I'm going to go and sit at that table and convince myself that these people aren't arseholes. Like,
totally, yeah. I'm glad that he's got to hang out with some of those most stupid, boring people on the planet. Can you imagine being in having a chat with Jordan Peterson for about 5 minutes, like handing him tissues because he can't stop.
Yeah, stop him crying.
Stop crying, Jordan.
For God's sake, we're just ordering lunch. It's like, but what does lunch mean?
These men are being told that bread will put on weight, and I fear for them. I'm in the land of Jordan Peterson.
Oh yeah,
I'm in Toronto. Absolutely. He's just around the corner. Sometimes we open the back door and you can hear him crying on the breeze.
You catch a glimpse of one half of his suit.
Yeah. Oh, that is cool. He's got that Pac-Man suit that everyone had off eBay.
or the other one where he looks like has he got an ice cream van somewhere?
Oh yeah, he did. He really went for it. Farage was spotted today walking around in a cream Panama hat and cream suit.
Looking like Belloc from fucking Raiders of the Lost Ark, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Who's it's a guy who's got a podcast called Guesstimators, Andy Bush. He looks like the man from Del Monte. He looks like a real prat, but if you say that guy looks like a real prat, all his fans are there telling me I'm Jewish, like I didn't know.
It's bizarre, isn't it? Because this is the kind of thing they've created a sort of realm where they're kind of impervious to sort of criticism, or even being found out. Like, I mean, Jordan Peterson's case in point, right? Jordan Peterson made his career off C-17, which was the concept that this bill was going to criminalize people for accidentally misgendering people, and there's a flaw in his logic in as much as it never existed. It's
no
bullshit.
No one's gone to prison for going, hey, look at him. That's she, not him. Oh, sorry, she.
It wasn't even that. It was all they were doing was they're adding it to forms as a protective thing. It's like saying that you cannot discriminate against somebody based on the fact that they see themselves as a trans person. That was it. There was no criminality, no fines, nothing. But his version of it, I remember talking to somebody who was very, very left wing, living in Canada, and actually saying, well, I don't agree with him. I think he's a bit of a prat. But what he says about this C-17 is actually quite worrying. It's like, it's not a thing. It isn't
cut
a thing.
Through. Yeah. But he cried so much. How could it not be a thing? He was eating raw mince by the fistful.
Yeah. And taking a handful of benzos and a handful of...
Didn't he say that he ended up in a coma, didn't he? Yeah. And he said it was because he drank some apple cider vinegar.
No. His apple cider vinegar kept him awake for 2 weeks. Like,
is that one?
Yeah.
So it's the opposite of a coma.
Yeah. He tells Joe Rogan, and again, it's like, I've been in a kitchen at 4 a.m. listening to somebody lie, and I've heard that story, and it's like, no, you fucking didn't. But Joe Rogan is far too polite to say. So he says something like, "You're awake for 14 days." But yes, then
that's
later,
really interesting, man.
Jamie, pull that up. Later, I'm not sure you're right, Jamie. I think I was right all along. But he later, to get off benzos, he went to Russia and put himself into an induced coma. And
it was an induced coma, okay, right.
But he's never quite been the same since. And there's a lot of people have pointed out that it's quite dangerous, benzo withdrawal and induced comas and stuff. And it's not uncommon for people to have degrees of brain damage from it. Well,
it makes sense,
You know, it is...
Does it make you cry a lot?
Yeah, this is it. Speaking of brain damage, Andrew Tate, not a massive fan.
No, I like him.
I love that the skit that he did, the guy when he got done by when he got arrested and I've
done a few videos as him. Yeah, I do a character who's like the idea is it's like a free speech activist Twitch streamer. I'm trying to talk like Andrew Tate in the video, but he's got like a really weird way of speaking with this weird sort of half American, half London accent, which definitely isn't his real voice. So he'll sometimes have a roticar and sometimes he won't. And then he'll be like, I've opened a letter. It's really weird. Anyway, I'm trying to do the voice because all his stands do his voice. It's really weird.
Oh, do they? Do they try and emulate it?
They emulate his voice, yeah. So I'm trying to do that. But yeah, it's just me in I've got a short brown wig and a beanie hat and a hoodie. And that's it. And no makeup. And the amount of people who think it's a real teenage boy is baffling.
That's really, I'm looking at the responses and they're going, this guy doesn't get it.
who's like some guy went, who's this fucking wanker? They look like they're on heroin. And I checked who'd said it, and then they followed me. I just wrote, you fucking follow me, mate. And he replied, oh, sorry, I didn't realise it was you. But I was like, it's my face. I don't look like I'm on heroin. Then I've got some trolls who, some of them say I'm fat and some of them say I'm emaciated. So I've decided like that must just mean I'm the exact perfect weight. Like,
Yeah.
and we'll take the middle ground with that. We'll star for it. I'm the perfect weight. But they love it when that happens. But so I've got a common theme with my trolls is talking about how old I look. They go on about like, look at her. There's one who always says I look like Leslie Joseph. They're like, oh, this cunt looks like Leslie Joseph. But I love Leslie Joseph.
Leslie Joseph was the sex object in Birds of a Feather. That's not an
and
insult.
also like she's by far the best performer in Birds of a Feather. Like Leslie Joseph's amazing, and she's a proper triple threat as well. She's really respected in theatre. So whenever this guy calls me Leslie Joseph, I'm like, it's a compliment.
Yeah,
but
no,
also
absolutely.
I don't know. They always talk about how old I look, and then trolls think I'm a real teenage boy when people think those videos are real.
Could the fact that they think that you're old, like when you're like 14 and you think like 26 is dead old, is it an indication that either mentally or physically these are actually just boys?
Are you a lot of teenage boys? I don't know how young these people think I should look, because I'm 40 next year, and I just think that it's like how I look is fine for my age. Like, how young am I supposed to be looking for these people? But it's commonly conspiracy theorists, and they're commonly the ones that go, haha, Jew. I'm like,
for fuck's sake.
He's got me there. He's bloody done me with that one.
Well, I was wondering whether you got any of that, particularly because like
a lot of it recently.
Really?
So I was shadow banned from, I believe the date was October 7th. I was like, my tweets suddenly were barely seen. They would be, I was sort of, this is so tedious, but I was getting about 35,000 hits on an average tweet, and then one goes viral and gets loads more, but it would be about that that was sort of the base level. And then suddenly it dropped by 90%. And then that went on till the end of May. And then suddenly the shadow ban got lifted, and now they're being seen by the same amount again. It was really weird. And I did think this is going to be bad for ticket sales, but, as soon as the shadow ban got lifted and I had tweets doing numbers again, I was like, oh, this is fun. It's back. And then I was like, oh yeah, the Nazis see my stuff now. So they're all there.
Yeah.
They're all back. And it's not different to before. There's just more of them.
Yeah.
And they're allowed to. So they're allowed to go, well, how many relatives did you lose in the gas chambers? I'm like, well, brilliant. I don't know, about 4 or 5, I think. But
honestly, like fucking Twitter at the minute and Elon, like, what the fucking... I wouldn't swap places with Elon for everything that Elon has. Like,
imagine the pain.
Yeah.
The constant agony.
He's a deeply, deeply sad man. You get the impression that he's got imposter syndrome with everything that he does, in as much as...
And he should.
No, fucking all right. Yeah, absolutely he should. Like, you didn't invent Tesla. You didn't do anything with SpaceX. You turned up
ruined Twitter
with money from your dad and fucked shit up. And the man's taste in leather jackets is atrocious. Like, it's atrocious. Like, it honestly, like, we've said this before. Our expression of Elon Musk is like that sad 50-year-old twat that buys a fucking Harley Davidson and sits outside the lower sixth form college trying to impress the hard lads. Yes, exactly. Like, this is
Hey girls.
No, he's not interested in the girls, right? This is the point.
Just wants to impress the boys.
Just wants to impress the hard lads. Like the lads that used to pick on him when he was that age.
Gavin, David and Savo.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I've thought of a nickname for myself. Perhaps you could call me that. Ace.
I buy them cigarettes.
Yes, he is. He's that older lad that buys them cigarettes to be sort of let into it, and it's just it's so pathetic. Like, it's just
He's like, with a mistake we made with him is we should have just told him he was really funny, and then he'd never have bought Twitter. Some of the cool comedians should have told him, "You're so funny." Because at the moment, only like bad era Dave Chappelle thinks he's cool.
Yeah.
He's the only like half cool comedian that, and Dave Chappelle isn't cool
Joe
anymore.
Joe Rogan likes
Joe
him,
Rogan.
but is Joe Rogan really a comedian? Let's be honest.
No, he hasn't been for a long time. I would call Joe Rogan a podcaster. I like how Joe Rogan is seen as like he's a real outsider. It's like he's
off.
He's paid millions by Spotify.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, yeah, no, he's again, he's another one that as he's got richer is sort of, some of these more conservative values that allow me to keep my money. I mean, sure, they're detrimental to human life, but let's not forget, I do get to keep my money.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing, isn't it, really? But
it was Stuart Lee because he said, I've been doing a lot better in recent years. And I used to really adhere to, we've got to tax the rich, but I've been doing a lot better in recent years. And now I've decided it's my money and I should get to keep all of it. And that does seem to be that. It's not even an exaggeration to say that people like Joe Rogan just say that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like it's like an advancement of the Rob. This shows you how far like comedy and commerce and capitalism has come. It's an advancement of the Rob Newman joke that he did in the 90s. Like, I used to be very anti-drugs, but now I've got some cash. So,
yeah.
So yeah, but no, fantastic. Yeah. What's your opinion on Just Stop Oil?
Oh, carry on. Fucking carry on. It's the only time we ever hear about like how oil should be stopped. It's the only time we ever hear anything about it. It gets on the news and people get all outraged and they go, why aren't they attacking the real targets? I'm like, here is I think it was Chris Packham's at a big power station in April doing a huge protest. I'm like, here's that. Did anyone give a fuck? Well, I didn't know it was happening. I'm like, there you go.
There you go.
There you
precisely.
Are then. I don't give a shit if some orange flower went on Stonehenge. Boyfriend who lives here in Canada, he visited Stonehenge about 15 years ago and he said that would have been really cool if that had happened because actually when he got there, he went, okay, it's rocks. And suddenly, like a lot of people really showed their asses with that. They were like, "Oh, this is disgusting. This is disgusting and pathetic." Like, all right, when have you ever given a shit about rare lichen before?
Yeah. That was the thing. This lichen will never recover. It's like, fuck off. Like,
and then someone the next day,
not built for this planet, is it? Like, let's be honest.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. Also, I've seen that shit survive in space. So
yeah.
They flew it into space and it survived. Yeah. They're making people angry. They're putting them off their cause. I'm like, are you telling me that because you found some people annoying, you no longer care about climate change? Because that says an awful lot about you.
Yeah.
I don't want to go like, they're just like Martin Luther King, because I don't think that.
No.
But Martin Luther King, who is now, everybody loves him. Even the far right have to say they like Martin Luther King.
Yeah, they're always quoting him.
Yeah. There's that brilliant sketch, isn't there? That guy did video sketch, and he's like, I'm Martin Luther King. I had a dream, and it came true. So now we can stop talking about it. I am as beloved now as I was back then. People hated that guy, and now he's held up as this great civil rights figure who we all love. Even the right wing loves him.
Yeah.
The same thing is going to happen with Just Stop Oil. We'll be here in 30 years going, no, they were right, while we burn.
And I remember at the time very much sticking up for them. It's like, no, you fucking didn't.
Yeah, did you?
Yeah.
The internet's written in indelible ink, you fucking cunt.
Well, this is the thing. It is an interesting thing because we had Rupert Reed on, who started or was there at the beginning, sort of promoting Just Stop Oil, and he's actually latterly left because he doesn't think that the tactics are sort of useful.
Right.
But again, I think there's an argument for both sides. I can understand why it pisses people off.
Yeah, totally. I know why people get annoyed. I also think, like, no one's fucking doing anything.
Yeah.
So, what? Are some people doing something and you find it annoying? Oh,
yeah.
well, what? Your feelings are very important to me. I wish they would stop. Like, nothing, it's not making any difference either way. So I don't care so much. They're so angry that Stonehenge got some powder on it. And I'm so sick of reading people I like going, I am just disgusted by this. I'm like, You sad fucking asshole. You don't care.
Well, no, I mean, we've got the Spinal Tap song. Frankly, it's superfluous now. We don't need it. We've got pictures. We know what it looked like. So
Absolutely. Well, as also, I've seen, they then will invite people, representatives. Well, God, I got invited onto Good Morning Britain to talk about it. And my agent was like, I'm going to strongly advise you to say no. And I said, no, good, because what I would do is go on and Joe Lycett it. I'd act really horrified and point out it was orange flower and be like, it was orange flower. I knew exactly what I would do if I went on, and they would be furious and never have me on again.
Yeah.
It would have not been worth anyone's while for me to do it. I would have probably got paid about £40. And no, absolutely not. I'm not going to go on there to be talked at by Richard Madeley or even worse, Ed Balls. So didn't fancy that at all. But yeah, there were people on talking about it like, well, here we are, we've got a representative from Just Stop Oil. Explain yourselves. And what they do is go, so everyone's very worried about Stonehenge because it's 5,000 years old and orange powder was on it. They then went like, the Mersey River is much older than Stonehenge and it's full of feces.
Yeah.
And there's animals dying in there because the water is so polluted. And you see the host go, well, really? Well, how are you helping that stop then? Like, well, by coming on the news and talking about it, because I bet loads of people hadn't thought about it that way.
Don't know about it. Nobody knows about all the fucking forever chemicals in the water, like, like PCBs and PFAS and PFAS and things like that. Like, if the general public knew the stuff that was actually in the environment, they'd shit a brick. Well, they wouldn't. They do exactly what they've done with climate change, which is they'll put it to the back of their mind and then get cross with somebody when they bring it up. It's like, we've used this analogy before, it's like going to a children's party and pointing out that the clown is a paedophile and then everyone getting cross with you. Like, and going, oh, you've ruined the party now.
Oh, great.
Thanks.
That's really brought the mood down.
Yeah. Like, he's taking one of them to the shed, for fuck's sake. Like,
oh, God, don't point that out. Child abuse is horrible.
Yeah, no, precisely. And that's the thing with Just Stop Oil is that the one that gets me is that when people get really, really bent out of shape and start punching them when they've caused a traffic jam. It's like, do you do that? Do you get out, when there's an accident and it causes a traffic jam, do you go wrench the people out and beat them up for making you late for work?
Well, they're holding up ambulances. There's constant roadworks all the fucking time. Our roads look like something out of a dystopian future with like great big fucking potholes everywhere. People are constantly having to stop and block the road because they've blown a tyre because they've driven over a pothole that wasn't fixed. Do we right, who's responsible for not fixing these potholes? I want to punch them. I'm going to find them, I'm going to punch them. I do feel a bit like that, to be fair. But yeah, it seems like you read things that are not far off. Hanging's too good for him because Just Stop Oil put some orange flower on Stonehenge. The next morning, they threw orange paint all over some private jets. I don't think that would have got nearly as much coverage if they'd just done that.
This is the irony of it, isn't it? Is that basically like they've brought attention to it, and I'm annoyed. That's what they're supposed to be doing. Like I don't think a lot of people quite have just clicked the point of it yet.
Yeah. And it's always the same people who said things like, well, it's not Jeremy Corbyn's politics that I disagreed with. I just don't like him as a person. Like, well, what a win.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that the vibes were bad, so you couldn't support the man who did what he was going to do.
Theresa May as a person? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, the girl bossification of Theresa May will never stop making me angry. No, we'd like her back now, though, wouldn't we? She had integrity. Did she really?
No.
I mean, yeah, she really did believe in the hostile environment. That's true. The woman's definitely a fucking racist.
But this is the point. It's like, when you're judging against people like Boris Johnson and Donald Trump, it's like, people like Theresa May seem competent just on the fact that they are less corrupt and less openly, like, ridiculous, like, than what we've got.
They sound like a reasonable neoliberal to people who are only interested in vibes. And Boris Johnson probably, who knows what Boris Johnson's personal politics are? They shifted with the wind, but... Yeah.
Boris Johnson's personal politics are whatever suits and affects Boris Johnson at that particular second.
That exact moment. Yeah. No real beliefs. There's that line in There's a line in the great political work Hamilton, where it's towards the end. There's two candidates who want to run for one party, and they're asking Alexander Hamilton, for their support. He always has been for his endorsement. He's always been lifelong friends with one of them, and one of them they've always been at loggerheads, and he endorses the one he's always been at loggerheads with because he went, I disagree with everything he's ever said, but he has beliefs, and my friend has none. And he ended up getting killed in a duel over it. That's very Boris Johnson. There was nothing.
If only he got killed in a duel.
Yeah. When he got COVID, right at the beginning of COVID, there were like loads of people going, hope he dies. And I remember being like, no, I really, really hope he doesn't. I think that would be the worst possible thing to have this man martyred. And my feelings have changed on that a bit. Same with Trump. I was like, no,
hindsight's
2020,
isn't it? Like,
yeah. But again, this is the J.K. Rowling thing of like, we just got to get rid of the big bad.
Yeah.
If you get rid of Voldemort, everything will be fine. It's like, no. There's no one person who goes and everything's fine.
What do you think to the argument that basically politics is getting so ridiculous that it's becoming more difficult to actually satirise it? Like, I mean, obviously, you're Nadine Dorries, doing her as a sort of breathy schoolgirl that clearly fancies the top boy is so very, very good.
I mean, it's not the brightest bit of satire that's ever existed.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. You've just like you've framed it in a way. It's like that's exactly what she is. She's like she's not the top cheerleader. She's the second cheerleader that's after the quarterback, isn't she? Or whatever. Yeah,
that's basically her. She's really easy to improv as. I've done a few live things as Nadine, a few podcasts as Nadine Dorries. And it's really easy to do her on those things because the real Nadine Dorries never thinks before she speaks. So you can just go. It's like someone's pulled a string in her back and gone, and go, Nadine. She's one of the only politicians you see interviewed who doesn't go, well, let me first say, she's straight in there, like, here we go.
Tell you.
She was on politics, Kunzberg, Sunday with Kunzberg. Not last week, but the week before, I think. And she was on with Andy Burnham on the panel. And Nadine Dorries thinks she is incredibly intelligent and a fascinating woman, which she is fascinating, but not for reasons she thinks. And they asked Anne, and she kept interrupting and quipping, and she's not funny. That's the other thing. And Andy Burnham said, well, back in 2011, there was obviously a referendum on electoral reform, and he said, and now we're looking at a world where people could be talking about something again, and it's obvious he means electoral reform. And Nadine Dorries went, electoral reform? It's like, yeah, we know what he's talking about, Nadine. She was like, I've guessed it. It was amazing.
The problem is, like, you know that she went home really pleased with herself for guessing that. Like,
I knew what he was talking about. Like,
quite the smart cookie, mate.
Yeah. It wasn't a riddle, Nadine. Electoral reform. Mm-hmm.
Bless that.
Andy.
I'm very conscious that we've had you for just over an hour. Are you all right for another 5 minutes or so?
Yeah, sure.
Fabulous. Right. I want to talk to you about your music because, like, you're just incredible. Like, you did a Kate Bush tribute show.
Yeah.
Like, that's an incredible range to do Kate Bush.
Oh, thanks. I've always done Kate Bush. When I first did it 2008, I was in the world's longest running live sketch show, News Review, at the Canal Cafe Theatre. They change the cast every 6 weeks, and you do an hour of fast-paced sketches that are sent in by a team of writers. And we had one where they vary in quality. We had one where it was Gordon Brown. I think his wife in an interview, in probably a joke comment, had said, "Oh, he's my Heathcliff." So we had a sketch where one of the actors was Gordon Brown, and he didn't know what to do. The credit crunch had just hit, so he's reading Wuthering Heights and he falls asleep. And then Tony Blair comes through the window like Heathcliff, and I, behind a bush, sang Wuthering Heights, but it was Gordon, it's me, it's Tony, I've come home now. And he was like sort of dancing around. The guy playing Tony Blair was dancing around like Kate Bush. Stupid bloody sketch. But people did remark that I sounded so much like Kate Bush, they assumed that we just manipulated a recording.
Oh,
and
wow.
I've taken that with me everywhere.
No, yeah, it's amazing.
I always know I can do a good Kate Bush.
Do you know the?
I put it out far too often.
Do you know the story behind cloud bursting?
Oh, cloud busting.
Yeah.
It's based on a real guy who built a machine where he wanted to manipulate the weather.
Yeah. Wilhelm Reich was his name. And apparently Donald Sutherland had a book, which is why he's in the video, like had a book about it at a party or something and was giving it to him. Wilhelm Reich, he made this device called a cloudbuster, which apparently can create rain. But the government came and told him to stop it.
Right.
And there's debates as to how accurate it is, because other things that Wilhelm Reich was involved with, he was very keen on using sexual energy for sort of prolonging existence and things like that.
Oh, sounds like rape.
Yeah, it does a little bit.
Sounds like that sort of thing Russell Brand would say. I think we can use sexual energy.
Yeah, it was a little bit like that. But,
it wasn't me, it was my sexual energy.
Yes, Wilhelm Reich's a little bit of a...
It shows how good Kate Bush is, because that song is one of the most uplifting and moving songs that has ever been in pop. When Stranger Things created a resurgence with Kate Bush because of Running Up That Hill, it's like, guys, you don't know how good that album is. You haven't even heard Cloud Busting yet.
Totally. Listen, she's ripped off the Utah Saints in this. that shows my age. Bloody hell. But you also you were a Christina Aguilera tribute act.
Yeah. I was on a terrible website. I was 22. There was a terrible website called Star Now, which had ads for like awful jobs, the sort of jobs that wouldn't be in the back of the stage. They were that bad. And it was, we're looking for tribute acts for this company in Cyprus. We'll pay you $5,000 a month. And no, it was $5,000 for the contract, I think, which was 6 months. But there's extra gigs you can pick up, and all your accommodations paid for, all your flights are paid for. So I went and auditioned to be like a Shirley Bassey tribute, but like do all, not just Shirley Bassey, do all songs by like, and then I'll do one as Streisand, and I'll do one as Judy Garland, that kind of thing. And so they, at the end of the audition, they went, oh well, we kind of have drag queens who do Shirley Bassey already. So would you be able to do Christina Aguilera? And I thought, not really. But I said, yeah, because I wanted the gig, and they let me do it. They didn't ask me to prove it. And I was out there. I was out in Cyprus being Christina Aguilera tribute. Every bit of the job was a lie, apart from the free accommodation, which was full of cockroaches, and it's the hottest part of the Mediterranean. So I just remember just running with sweat for 3 months in the most disgusting possible way. And the whole company was like definitely a tax dodge. It was like a tax dodge for organised crime.
Oh, right.
Because they weren't making any money from us.
Oh, so it's a laundering operation or something?
Yeah. Like almost certainly. And like one guy just went missing. We assume he just got put on a plane home, but no one then heard from him again.
But best not to ask. Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't a very nice bloke, but also, what happened to him,
but
please?
Probably didn't deserve to die.
He was one of the Blues Brothers, and then there was only one Blues Brother.
It wasn't John Belushi, because if it was, we know what happened to him. It's not sit down. It's not a pleasant story.
Yeah. I won't build a tight five around it or anything. Yeah, so I was out there. I did 3 months, and then they like kept hold of my passport, and the Elvis.
Oh, for Christ's sake!
He was like, I've got access to their flat. I know where it is, and he got my passport back for me, and then I just got on a plane and went home.
Please tell me he did it in full costume with the accent. We're going to go around the back. You know?
He was. I would say, like, I think there's good Elvis tributes, but I wouldn't say he was one. They said we got an Elvis tribute, and I was like, oh, is he any good? And they went, any good? His suit cost $2,000.
Right, that's the
That means he's
damning with faint praise. It's a beautiful colour.
Great. Yeah, okay. Well, that's told me everything I need to know. He's like, and he said, I'm the only Elvis tribute going that uses his own hair.
Well, there's something like, you know, like wicked. Yeah.
But he would change key, because he didn't have Elvis's range. So he would change key while he was singing.
Yeah.
And drop down like several keys, but then the key wouldn't match the backing track.
Oh no, he didn't change the back. All right, okay. Yeah,
so he'd be like, glory, glory, hallelujah.
Oh
it's like
dear.
Alan Partridge. Why do birds suddenly
Suddenly.
near. It's like that.
Oh, nice.
I got to get a question in before we do let you go.
Of course.
I want to know, because I'm really interested in how conspiracy theories have like proliferated around different communities. Like, do you hear this type of stuff backstage? Other comedians talking about this type of stuff, or?
Yeah.
Is Michael McIntyre convinced of the lizards?
I know that he's got his own headset mic that he keeps at the Soho Theatre when he does his tour warm-up gigs there, and no one else is allowed to use it.
Oh, wow.
I don't think there's much of a conspiracy there. It's just like that's
Madonna.
Michael McIntyre's. Yeah. Don't touch that. That's Michael McIntyre's headset mic. So it really started up during COVID when some people it's like their brains got broken by COVID regulations and by mask wearing and by the vaccines. And there are comics who don't really get booked anymore because they made it so unpleasant backstage too often.
Really?
By yelling at people. There's one who wouldn't talk to anyone if they had a mask on. So they were at the gig backstage and people were wearing the masks because there weren't vaccines yet and we didn't want to fucking get COVID or spread COVID. Like, I didn't find the masks much of an inconvenience and I had a really cool one with Sonic on it. So, like, I didn't care. And when people, and they would say, like some people would be chatting with masks on, they would say, do you know, I can never understand anyone when they're wearing a mask. And it would be like, the atmosphere's really cool back here.
What about Darth Vader? You can understand Darth Vader, can't you?
Yeah.
Like,
no, you can't, because they had to dub him with with James Earl Jones with his nice voice.
Have you ever seen the footage of it when it's still the guy?
Oh, bless him! And didn't he think they were going to use his...
He didn't find out until the premiere.
Oh,
like,
so sad.
No, what was his
Dave
name?
Prowse.
Dave Prowse.
Dave
Thank
Prowse,
you.
the Green Cross Code
Green
Man.
Cross Code Man. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
But,
He's sad. Poor guy.
Never mind. Like,
you're going to be a star. Well, you're certainly going to do some walking.
Yeah.
Certainly going to walk around and look great in that suit.
Oh dear.
But despite the like COVID kind of conspiracy stuff, what about just like normal kind of 9/11 sort of JFK kind of things?
Yeah, you do. The problem is because 9/11 in particular, I've read up on all the debunks. So when people go, a steel frame building's never fallen from fire, and it's the old, jet fuel can't melt steel beams. And I can say, I go like, well, I know that a paper fire, which is what was caused by jet fuel, burns hot enough to weaken steel enough that it will snap under not too much pressure, which is what happened. And I've got a video here. You can see the struts are listing and then they give way. And you see them be like, right, well, do you want to explain to me why Building 7 came down? And then I do. And it's I don't take any pleasure in it. It's always like a horrible atmosphere because 9/11 conspiracy theorists are dead set on it. Like they're so adamant about this. I think conspiracy theorists, I don't think that's like, there's like soft ones who are like, oh yeah, maybe Jews don't rule the world. You're right.
There is flavour within it, but you're right. You tend to have to sort of at least pay lip service to the more ludicrous ones and stuff like that.
That's it.
Right?
And like when you do occasionally come up against people who will start on 9/11, and I should be able to just leave it, but I can't.
No, because
it's just so. I'm not going to go. Yeah, true. I'm not just going to do it. I'm not going to let them have this bullshit. It's easier on Twitter because you can say you can put it in one or two tweets. Here's why you're wrong. Don't call them any names whatsoever. And usually they just hit back with, well, you're one of the ugliest people I've ever seen in my life. You make me sick. I'm like, well, you just lost the argument, didn't you? Because the way I look has absolutely nothing to do with whether Just Stop Oil should or shouldn't have thrown orange flour on some old stones. So then it's quite easy. You're like, oh, you just showed your ass and now I can mute you and never hear from you again. But it's slightly different when you're backstage with colleagues.
No, I imagine so. Yeah, absolutely.
I had one like, so my brother's in Les Mis, and it was, I had a gig the night after Extinction Rebellion stormed the stage in the finale. They just held up banners and people were like, why are they attacking the cast of Les Mis? And he'd be like, well, they're not. That's not what was happening. But people are all there to watch a show about revolution and then they're all booing people who are not even really doing a revolution. It's like a pretty mild form of activism. And my brother was like, we all got the night off.
Hang on, isn't the end of Les Mis, isn't that you can hear the people sing?
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Oh my God, the end of Act 1, where they're storming the stage, where they storm the stage, is One Day More, where they're marching into revolution and everyone in the crowd is on their feet going, oh, this is so exciting, it's so powerful. What a genius move by Extinction Rebellion. And I had a gig the next night and I arrived and Comic went, oh, what about those cunts last night? Your brother must be fucking furious. And I went, no, he's fine. Well, like, why did they do that? Why are they, like, they're just actors. They're just cast of actors. So I said to him, well, it's because it's a show about revolution. And he went, yeah, but why don't they go and show up at something that actually causes pollution? I went, oh, they have done. Have you? Well, I didn't hear about that. There you go. There you are then. There you are. Fucking hell. It was genius. That was genius what they did.
No, absolutely.
And my brother didn't care. They all got to go home early because they cancelled Act 2. So apparently there was one woman who went, I was scared we were going to die. And a couple of them went, why?
Well, I'm always scared. I'm a very Sylvia Plath type person.
Yeah.
While we're on the Les Mis one as well, I absolutely love your jazz rendition of I Dreamed a Dream. That was fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Wow, you guys have really done a deep dive.
Well, not deep enough if he got it wrong at the very beginning, didn't know that you was in that other thing.
Didn't know I was in Withnail and I.
No, I didn't know you were in Withnail and I. No.
It's because of the shadow ban, no one saw.
You're sacked.
We're hoping it'll go to the West End. We did 3 weeks in Birmingham with, we had a very famous guy from Umbrella Academy and Misfits was playing Withnail, a guy called Rob Sheehan.
Yeah, the chap that's in Red Riding. I forget his name.
Is he? Is he in that as well?
Yeah, he's brilliant.
Turned out, when he arrived on day one, I was like, I don't think I've seen anything with this guy in, and his CV is longer than my arm. I don't know how I'd missed him I'd never seen Misfits, I'd never seen Umbrella Academy. But yeah, what a guy. He's brilliant. He's such a good guy and brilliant actor. He was playing Withnail, and I think the key is having him for the West End. I think it goes to the West End. If he can do it, we're there.
Oh no, that'd be amazing. I'd really like to see the Withnail stage.
It was good. It had a real car in it and everything.
It's perfect as well. Like for the stage as well.
It's sort of a no-brainer
because of the fan base. And
someone else in the cast pointed out that you never see audiences where there's a lot of middle-aged men in the audience, and so it's bringing new audience that don't normally go to the theatre. Middle-aged and younger men, basically.
They
don't tend to be plentiful in audiences. So the fact it's bringing out a demographic you don't normally see is usually very promising for getting a big theatre invested in a in a new show. And it's an existing property, so that's always easier to sell.
And Withnail and I, it's one of these things where technically you need to learn your lines because the audience will basically they'll carry it along.
It was kind of a nightmare in that respect. So
because there's people shouting it out.
Yeah, and they tend to get shushed down quite quickly with
This isn't the Rocky Horror Picture Show,
Yeah, it was. We were worried, like, what if this ends up being sort of like sing along with Withnail and I? But luckily it didn't really happen. But there was because most of the audience would be like, no, we're not here for that. But people would come dressed up. Like there were people who came. There was a guy who showed up in perfect Withnail coat, and he had white Y-fronts, and he'd smeared something like deep heat all over himself. And we were like, he's just going to sit and watch the show. Dressed like that.
Do you know who bought the original coat from Withnail?
Yeah, Chris Evans.
Chris Evans, the fucker, and he destroyed it on a quad, apparently.
Did he? Oh, no.
He was driving around on a quad bike with it, fell off, and it got destroyed. Yeah.
Oh no, there's a woman who makes perfect made-to-measure replicas of the coat, and she made the Withnail coat for our production. And the first time Rob came into rehearsals wearing the coat, it was a moment. You're like, oh my God.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
It's there he is. There's Withnail. It was great. It's a really hard thing to get right as well because people know the film so well.
He's so beloved, isn't it?
That's it. There was a worry that people would just be like, hate it, but the reaction was great. The reaction was really great. So
they've slightly changed Monty, haven't they?
Yeah. So it's a guy called Malcolm Sinclair who is twice as old as Richard Griffiths was when he played the part. Richard Griffiths was 36.
He was only young, wasn't he?
Yeah.
French or
someone
something.
So
Adrian Delatouche. Adrian Delatouche. I told you this would happen, Brendan. I did tell you this would happen. His son.
It's terrible because we all obviously the film so well, and then I know it better now from doing this play. And you'd find yourself saying lines in the pub that relate to what we've just been saying. I'm like, oh, that's awful. I hate it in casts when that happens. I find it annoying, and I'm loving this too much.
That was always
Such
the thing.
Good writing.
When I was about 15, we were desperately proud that we knew that I's name was Marwood because someone had got hold of a script, and we're yes,
named Marwood.
Yeah, you don't know that.
He's never. He was called Marwood in our program. Adonis Sadiq played Marwood. He's fucking brilliant. He's going to have a massive career. But he literally was like, I was supply teaching last week, and now I'm doing this. And he said, and then when this ends, I may have to go back to supply teaching. And we need more people like Adonis teaching our kids. He's an awesome gentleman. But he is an amazing actor. He ought to have a cracking career following this. They were such a good cast. I was so lucky. It's because the director had just worked with me on the Grace and Perry musical, and they knew they wanted a female singer for the live band.
Yeah.
And then to do all the female roles from the movie. And he just worked with me. So basically, whoever the last woman he'd worked with was going to get that job.
That's amazing.
So yeah, I was lucky as hell. No, it was only me and Rob who didn't audition. Everyone else had to audition.
Oh, that's amazing.
If I'd had to audition, I wouldn't have got it.
Well, I hope it tours as well. I hope it does. Yeah. I hope it goes to the West End, but then I hope it tours as well because I'd love to see it. It sounds fantastic.
Right, where are you based?
Nottingham.
You're in Nottingham, right?
Brent's in Bristol, so yeah.
Okay. Oh, when does this come out? Probably not by the time my Bristol show.
No, it'll be
when's
out.
Your Bristol show? You're
coming out on the day before the election.
Oh, okay. The Bristol show's on Sunday. So yeah, too late. It's all right. It's only a preview.
Yeah, I'm dead conscious that we've had you for ages. There's loads more I'd like to chat to you about.
Oh, sorry. I'm a bit of a jibber jabber. So.
No. That's perfect. Maybe we could have you back at some point. Because I'd love to chat about all your Doctor Who stuff and Squeaky from A. And just so you know, I know people that know Squeaky.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that makes me sound terribly psychotic. But...
No, not at all.
He's written a book about it. That's why he's written a book about Manson.
I see. Oh, so what's your book?
Oh, it's called Now is the Only Thing That's Real. It's a very underground thing, and but it's quite well liked by people quite close to the case. God, that makes me sound even worse.
No. I'm fascinated by Manson and the Manson family. I'd love to. I could talk about Charlie Manson all day. I'd love to come back.
Oh, right. Well, basically, do you know Nick Schreck? Nick Schreck is the son-in-law of Anton LaVey. Well, not anymore because him and Xena got divorced. But basically,
I know the name. Right.
Nick's got a book out. Basically, he sort of fell out with me a bit about it because he's got a book which looks at sort of there's another version of there's several versions of the Manson story. There's the sort of official Bugliosi story. There's the sort of it was all the satanic cult ritual. There's the CIA angle, and there's another angle which basically it's the sort of drug burn angle, which involves the mafia and these three Canadian drug dealers who were connected to Mama Cass and the Mamas and the Papas. and
Okay.
What's his name? The Robert Evans, the film producer at Paramount.
Right.
You know,
right.
the kid stays in a picture film and stuff like
Right.
that.
Sure.
There's a lot of drugs and organized crime and stuff running through it, basically. And so what I did was I wrote a book that sort of compared those theories and looked at the evidence. And bizarrely, if you look at it, that's actually probably that's the most likely as to what happened. This concept of Charlie being like a cult leader and stuff like that, you know, hanging off crosses and things like that. It was all lifted from this guy called Krishna Ventnor, who was who actually had a sex cult in Box Canyon, where he was taking loads of women there, and he was wanting to build an army of 40,000 people because there was going to be a race war.
Yeah, which Charlie Manson was always going on about this race war, right?
Well, he wasn't. This was the point.
Right.
He didn't. Like, what happened was Paul and Danny DiCarlo appropriated the story of Krishna Ventnor and told that to Vincent Bugliosi, and Vincent Bugliosi put that on top of Charlie's case.
I see. Okay.
Even as I'm explaining this, it sounds mad. And so
no, it makes sense though, because Charles Manson was a little bit of a Nadine Dorries. He was always running that mouth.
Yeah, he's a gummy shit. Yeah.
He sounds like he would love to be held up as sort of a great mystic, a bit of a Rasputin figure.
Yeah.
He's another one.
Yeah, yes,
he's another one that there's too many conspiracies about. But yeah, the whole Manson case is kind of insane, and it does sound like something that just spiraled out of control.
Yeah, very much.
This wasn't the way it was meant to happen.
No, it was all Bobby Bosley's fault. No, sorry, not Bobby Bosley's fault. It was all Tex Watson's fault because of the Bobby Bosley thing.
Right.
That the reason that Tex went to Terry Melcher's house was because he was going to rob their drugs. Jay Sebring and Wojtek were dealing drugs. They were dealing this like precursor to MDMA that they'd got from Canada. And they'd sold some to Linda Kasabian. It turned out to be shit. And so Tex had decided to turn up and basically rob them.
Right. So this is just like shitty crime land.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, exactly.
Dickheads.
Sharon wasn't supposed to be there. She told her friend, Sheila Wells, and also Robert Evans, that she was staying somewhere else. And then Tex turns up and tries to rob them. So there's a debate that basically Tex might have phoned Robert Evans before and asked and stuff like this.
Okay.
Yeah, it all gets very complicated. Robert Evans himself was involved with this bloke. He was involved in the death of a producer called Roy Radin. Roy Radin stole a load of cocaine from him. And
this is all like, he stole my drugs.
Yeah, totally. Well, so you got a bloke called Bill Mensa and this woman who was friends with... I'm going simple. The drummer from the Beach Boys, Dennis from the Beach Boys.
Yes.
And he took Roy into the desert, and he shot his head off with a shotgun. And then to make sure, he stuffed a stick of dynamite into the hole, surrounded him with satanic ritual elements, and blew his body up.
That'll do it.
Yeah. And so Robert Evans was involved in these types of things. But one of the sort of
the 60s.
Oh, the 60s indeed. One of the more sort of like salacious aspects of it is that apparently Charlie Manson was shagging his way around half of Hollywood, and not the women, not just the women.
Right.
Apparently, him and Dennis were lovers. Dennis Wilson. Yeah. There's.
I can see that because Charles Manson's start in life was about as horrendous as you can get. It's kind of amazing that he didn't end up being just some serial killer.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
He was being abused in sort of essentially boys' borstalls from the age of about 8.
Yeah.
And he had a mother who sold him for
a pitcher of beer.
Yeah. Sold her kid. And she went to prison. And then when she came out, he said it was the happiest day of his life.
Yeah.
It's like, this woman didn't want you. She didn't even give him a name for the first 3 years.
No name, Maddox for a long time, wasn't he? Yeah.
Little no name. Oh, sorry. I'm off about Charlie Manson again.
Oh, no, I can sit here for hours.
My favourite line in the film Walk Hard, which is that no other music biopics should be made if they follow the formula of Walk Hard, because Walk Hard already exists. Like, it's a spoof of music biopics where John C. Reilly plays a Johnny Cash style singer called Dewey Cox, and there's a line in it where they're having a big party in the 60s. It's the late 60s, and they're at Dewey's house, and they're like, "Oh, who's that guy out there?" And he goes, "Oh, that's Charlie Manson. His music's horrible, but he's a really nice guy."
Yeah, I love that film.
He wrote some songs for the Beach Boys, actually.
Yeah,
like "Never Learn Not to Love" and various other ones as well.
He's, his like all his music is on Spotify, I think.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It's absolutely fine. It's all super derivative, and there's some like crap rhyming in there and stuff.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
You listen to it, you're just like, this is fine, and he actually has a pretty good voice. And
yeah, do you know where the concept from The Family came from? You know, they called in the court. They called his group The Family. The Family Jams was the backing singers. It was Squeaky and Gypsy and Patricia and
Sadie.
Sandra. Yeah,
right,
and all of those, and they were going to be his backing singers.
Yes,
and they were called,
and they were a big pain in the arse in the studio. Like they were like, we need to be facing Charlie, and the producer was like, girls, we can't have it because the mic is there, so you have to sing into the mic. And they're like, no, we want to be facing Charlie when we sing.
Well, there's an element that certainly was true, but one of the things that is lesser known is, you know, they recorded over 300 hours of material at Brian Wilson's private bedroom recordings thing. Yeah.
Right.
And when the murders sort of came out, like Van Dyke Parks and various other people were all sort of running around going like, we need to sort of fucking shred this and get rid of this.
Right.
Basically.
Well, I bet there's, I mean, what you hope is like, well, there's loads of evidence that we were taking tons of drugs, but there's probably a lot worse than that on there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But yeah. Sorry, I could keep you rabbiting on about Manson for days.
I never shut the fuck up about that guy. I do have to go to my boyfriend's brother's birthday though, so I better go. And I was asleep 15 minutes before this recording started, so you've woken me up. Well done.
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm sorry about. I got in last night, had about 5 old fashions, and then woke up at 4 a.m. So.
Oh, well, good stuff. Well, fair enough. But yeah, we'd love to have you back because there's loads more we'd love to chat to you about your comedy and about your success with Doctor Who. And you've got an Edinburgh show coming up, haven't you? And a tour.
Yeah. If people want to see me live, it's all the details are at soozkempner.co.uk. You can follow me on Twitter, the website formerly known as Twitter. If you write in twitter.com, it still takes you there. Elon doesn't want you to know that. But I'm Sooz UK on there, SOOZ UK. I'm on Instagram and all the rest of them. But yeah, I'm touring a show called Class of 2000, which is about doing your GCSEs in the year 2000 and what is class and can I ever have class. And that's going to the Edinburgh Fringe and doing a national tour from October.
Excellent.
Fantastic.
And you're doing a live stream, are you, for election night?
Yeah, on election
wicked.
night. I've got to do a show in Brighton and then I'm hot-footing it back home. I'm hoping I'll get back in time for the exit poll, but maybe not. But you can, twitch.tv/Sooz Kempner, all one word. I will be live streaming and that's free to anyone who wants to view it, and people are allowed to donate, but there's a cost of living crisis, so I've made it as free as it can be.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us today. Brilliant.
Thank you. Oh, thanks for having me. It's really fun.